Chapter 1, The Big Ones. Page 1, The Bloodline. Welcome to the first page of the Big Book of Kayfabe. We'll be analyzing and breaking down the artistic components that made the Bloodline story so captivating. Let's go through a set of categories, starting with writing and dialogue. Roman Reigns not only became a competent promo during this time, he became an effective storyteller. The backstage segments in the Bloodline locker room were impactful. Breath was rarely wasted throughout this 4-year story. Jey Uso's submission to the Bloodline and eventual departure from Roman's control was because of the dialogue that took place between those two main characters. The acting, through mannerisms, face twitches, explosions in his voice, comedic timing, Roman shined as tribal chief. Roman single-handedly made himself more money through his Bloodline performances. The delivery of his messages was also a different side of Roman we had never seen prior to 2020. Paul Heyman is and was amazing as always, but Sami Zayn also shined as a marvelous Hollywood actor in this saga. His acting and presence added a whole dimension to this Bloodline story. The improv all throughout this story was impressive as well. Jimmy and Jay and Solo Sikoa need to work on keeping their composure though. Directing, staging, and pacing. We're not going to act like theater majors here at the Book of Kayfabe, but what we can analyze is the production of Bloodline matches and the impact of certain booking decisions. SummerSlam 2023 was a major turning point in the Bloodline story, and it's one of the very few negatives of the story. Besides the match itself being the longest of Roman's entire reign, Jimmy turning on Jey Uso didn't make a lot of sense to fans at first. Eventually, fans began to develop theories as to how this can make sense, but when the moment initially happened, fans didn't enjoy it, and many still don't. The Bloodline story was accused by many during 2023 as becoming stale and drawn out, especially after SummerSlam. Roman himself also took multiple long breaks in 2023, which didn't help the story either. Camera angles in big moments, capturing emotions properly, and overall production of the story was of course phenomenal. The closing moments of Hell in a Cell 2020 come to mind. Cultural impact. This story changed everything for WWE. It brought WWE out of the COVID era. It was largely responsible for the eventual boom period WWE entered in the build-up to WrestleMania 40. The UFC WWE merger happened under the Bloodline's watch. It's not the Attitude Era or Hulk Hogan in the early 80s, but this Bloodline story was massive for WWE business. They were in a very rough patch from 2016 to 2020. Originality. This was definitely original for the pro wrestling world entirely. In terms of entertainment as a whole, you can definitely see some Godfather and Game of Thrones elements strewn throughout the plot. Consistency. The Bloodline story was as consistent as it gets in the pro wrestling world. Hardcore marks will judge the story harshly by hyperanalyzing the slumps this story went through, but the truth is that this story was the center of WWE TV for 4 flippin' years. There has never been a story that consistent that lasted that long. DX had their WrestleMania saga with Undertaker, but the way those 4 matches went down was never planned as far in advance as the Bloodline story was. Some literary themes that were present throughout the saga were family versus loyalty, of course. It didn't properly end at WrestleMania 40. The story continued after that with the new Bloodline and Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman getting absolutely destroyed. Power and corruption is also an important dynamic. From the Usos and Sami Zayn to Solo Sikoa himself after WrestleMania 40, many characters, including challengers and opponents, struggled with their personal identity in major ways at different parts of the story as well, all at the hands of the tribal chief. Many times they questioned whether loyalty and love is earned through actions or if it's given unconditionally through blood. Some dramatic devices deployed in this story were slow burns and cliffhangers. The Bloodline loved to burn things slowly. Payoff symmetry was also consistent. They didn't all use a chair, but every big moment in that story happened in ring, and it happened with a physical strike. Heyman appearing next to Roman in 2020 to debut their union stands out as a major backstage, non-physical strike big moment. Some strengths of the story were strong core performances, cohesive long-term storytelling, strong thematic depth, and of course, a big cultural footprint. Some weaknesses were how slow the burns can be, like in 2023. This applied to some matches as well. His match versus Cesaro at WrestleMania Backlash, his SummerSlam match with Jey Uso, and his tag match with The Rock at WrestleMania 40 come to mind. This story would have been at least nominated for an Emmy in 2024 after WrestleMania 40 if the Emmys considered pro wrestling. Welcome to the Great Book of Kayfabe.